The police need to better learn how to strangle the citizens. This is the Get Your Ass to Work podcast, episode number 74. We're talking about the Defund the Police movement that is spreading across America. In Minneapolis, they've actually voted to defund the police, which I'm not quite sure what that means, but other major cities are looking at doing the same thing. I don't know about you guys, but I've lived in a city where police had been defunded. St. Louis, Missouri, there's a town right by St. Louis called East St. Louis, and there were no police there. There were sheriffs, but there were no actual police officers because there was no police or fire department. And if you guys remember the movie of National Lampoon's Vacation, where their car gets stripped, well, that was East St. Louis. And that scene where their car is stripped is not only funny, but it's also accurate. And it also doesn't even tell 1/10 of the story of how bad East St. Louis actually is. It looks like a desert ghost war zone town shithole. I mean, I can't even explain how bad that place is. This is the place where they tell you not to stop at stop signs or stoplights because there are drug dealers out at the corner and they get into your car to make sales. You get carjacked if you stop at stoplights in some of these places. This isn't a joke. The year that I lived in St. Louis, 2000 to 2002-ish, St. Louis took the number one spot on the FBI's list as most dangerous city in America. They took it from Detroit the year that I lived there. I remember when I moved there, it was within the first 2 months, a cop had been ambushed, shot and killed, and they were doing a funeral for the police officer. And I was thinking to myself, where in the fuck did I just move to? It was a crazy place. Loved it, had a lot of fun living there, met a lot of great people. But let me tell you, St. Louis is lawless. And the police do not like to go to other parts of town, like North St. Louis. And the reason why they don't like to go to North St. Louis is because it is so bad, so much drugs, crime, guns, murders out in the north side of St. Louis that people will call the cops just to shoot at them. And that's how bad it is. So for people who think that not having police around is this great idea, first of all, you're kidding yourself, because you don't ever want to live where there are no police. And if you do want to live like that, go visit East St. Louis. Been there, done that, not going back. Wouldn't ever live there. The type of chaos, rampant crime, it's messed up. So I think we've pretty much have beat that dead horse that you don't want to live in a place that does not have a police department. And everybody's pretending like, oh, well, no police here, and in 14 days there's been no crime. Okay, look, give it a few months. Just like Occupy Wall Street, within a few months, what happened? Robberies, crime, drugs, rape, and that's ultimately what ended the Occupy Wall Street movement, was that it became a safety hazard for people to be in there. So if defunding the police isn't the answer to solving these police brutality problems, what is? I've been saying for years now that I think every cop, every police officer should have to take jiu-jitsu and learn how to wrestle and fight on the ground. Man, it is disgusting. It makes me sick. And I just cringe when I see videos of cops getting taken down, trying to arrest somebody, and either having their own gun pulled on them and shot, or knocked unconscious in a fight because they don't know jiu-jitsu, they don't know how to fight from the bottom, they don't know what to do once the fight goes to the ground. So I've been saying cops should have to take jiu-jitsu for a long time. And I heard this on a podcast, Joe Rogan podcast, from ex-Navy SEAL Jocko Willink, who took this a step further. So I can't take credit for it, but he was saying cops don't need to be defunded. They need to be funded way more than what they are funded because they are untrained. They are overworked, working 10, 12-hour shifts, and they don't have enough people. There aren't enough police officers. And they need more police officers, and they need more training, and they need more specific training to situations on how to de-escalate problems before they turn into a physical altercation. They need to be put in these situations. They need to learn how to properly strangle somebody. And people are like, oh, no chokeholds, and you should never have your hand around somebody's neck. And I disagree 100%. Guys, I've been choked, or what you want to call strangled, hundreds of times. And it happens 100 times a night when I go roll jiu-jitsu. And none of us ever die. Why? Because, for one, we know how to strangle somebody. Two, we know the warning signs of what happens when somebody is under your control and they give up and they are out of air, out of breath, moments away, if not somewhat partially strangled and asleep in your arms. And we know what those signs look like, so we know when to let go. Just because somebody passes out while you are applying a strangle to them, and strangling is different than choking. I'll talk about that in just a second. When you apply a strangle, just because someone passes out doesn't mean they're dead. Okay, that is absolutely beyond time when you need to let go or loosen up, but it is the first warning sign of, hey, the strangle has done its job. This person is now incapacitated, and it's safe to either get up and run away from the fight or to put the handcuffs on or to do something else. And hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but I disagree with there should be no chokeholds and no grabbing around the neck, because it is the most effective way to get control of somebody's body. You want to get control of somebody, you control where their head goes, because wherever they're looking and wherever their head goes, they go. You push somebody's head away, they are not coming towards you anymore. They can't look at you if you're turning their head one direction or another. They're not getting up and they're not coming after you if you can keep control of the neck. So it's highly effective. I think that taking this away would harm police officers because we do it every day. We choke people every single day, and nobody's dying during jiu-jitsu. Nobody is not waking up from jiu-jitsu class if they happen to pass out from not tapping out to a choke that has been held too long. It's just not happening. So how are hundreds and hundreds of people, if not tens of thousands of people, getting choked every single night and not dying, but we have police officers who, not a lot, but occasionally end up killing somebody from either a strangle or a chokehold. So the idea was our police officers need more training. And the number that I saw was that police officers get somewhere around 4 hours a year of combative training and think that that's somehow enough. Guys, I'm not a police officer. My full-time job is not to be out dealing with public people who could be combative in dangerous situations. And I train 4 hours of combat on a Saturday afternoon. Do you see the disparity between what our police officers are getting as far as training and what the average jiu-jitsu practitioner is doing and what the differences are? We aren't killing each other. Police officers typically aren't killing people, but if you hold a strangle for too long, you do kill somebody. So would it make sense, that our police don't need to be defunded. They need extra funding. They need to hire more police officers. They need more training, not less. They don't need to be defunded. They need more people out on the police force, and they need, I would say, a minimum of 4 hours training a week on how to properly control somebody, how to fight from the ground, how to take control of a human and put them into a position where they're going to be compliant without killing them. And so I think that if this were put into place, I think not only is it practical, like I'm not just dreaming that this could be done, I think it's necessary. And what would make it available? More money going to the police departments. Not stretching our police departments until they're so short-staffed that they don't have enough officers out on the field already, and they have to work these 10 to 12-hour shifts day in and day out, coming in for their holidays and being basically overworked. So I didn't come up with that solution, although I think it is a great solution. I think every cop should know at least basic jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and that would give the police officers more confidence when they are in these situations that are 100% life and death. Because I see a lot of people complaining, saying that, oh, the cops could have done this, or they didn't have to shoot this guy. Well, the police officers know that if they get taken down to the ground, there's a good probability that they may not get up, and they can panic too because they're people, and they end up shooting people because they don't want to take that fight to the ground. Me, I love when the fight goes to the ground now. I think I'm at an advantage. If our police officers thought the same way, that once the fight went to the ground, that there was no way, unless the other person knows jiu-jitsu, which is kind of rare, especially with criminals, but not non-existent, because there's a lot of punks and street thugs that also train, which makes it all the more necessary that you know how to defend yourself. But I would say if police officers had more of the confidence that they could control people without having to hit them with a baton or necessarily shoot them if these people happen to get away, if they had that confidence, we might have less murders by the police each year, either justified or unjustified. Either way, I think that if police officers had more confidence in their training, and one of those ways would be jiu-jitsu. So that's it for this week. Those are the end of my thoughts for now, and we will see you guys another day, another time. If you have any questions, you always know to hit me up.